Yeah. Okay, Jacqueline, do you want to share?
Yeah, I can share the two things that I will be talking about this week are Big Screen and their very first headset entering into the VR space, as well as Meta and their new and improved engine for creating AR. So I'll share my screen. This is actually from Meta's website, and it's building a cross-platform runtime for AR. So to summarize the article here about what Facebook wants, or I'm sorry, what Meta is hoping that we take away from their release is that AR and VR experiences shouldn't be restricted to the most sophisticated devices. And instead, we should be able to, we as in the Royal we, should be able to access it from any device, whether we have a limited bandwidth or great bandwidth, whether we have a top of the line device or whether we have an entry-level device. Their goal is to continue to be one of the largest AR platforms and continue to make AR accessible to the billions of users that are already using their platform. So Meta's new AR engine, their goal is to make it easier for developers to create engaging AR experiences, like I said, on any device. And it should be able, users of any skill level should also be able to create content. They released a toolkit that aims to essentially simplify cross-platform development. So if you're designing something for a phone, you should be able to take that same design and transfer it to a laptop or to a desktop, to any platform that you're wanting that AR experience. And their goal is that they don't want you to have to redesign something for each platform, and instead to be able to, I don't know if we're going to be as simple as to click a button, but to be able to much more easily generate an output regardless of the device. And so where they're at right now is that their challenge with everyone in the industry is that scaling for tracking, for graphics resolution, for all of those special effects qualities to match the device that the person is on, as well as figuring out the internet bandwidth and the processing power has been a struggle. But what they're trying to do, in the same way that what they've been doing in the VR space, is throw their resources into the mix. And so they're putting manpower, they're putting money, they're putting their data behind this new AR engine in hopes that as these small shifts and these small gains continue to build on top of one another, then they will be posed to take advantage when there's a big breakthrough in the development space, as well as other people who are tracking in that space. So on the technical side, Meta's AR runtime is using some different plugins, as well as including articulated avatars so that developers can choose from a variety of libraries to include, which is really helpful. But one of the things that they pointed out, and we've talked about this not directly, but in a roundabout way, that in all of these spaces, VR, pass-through, mixed reality, AR, right now and they put it nicely, is that it's a game of inches. And so as you're making, again, these small steps forward, one step at a time, it all adds up to something a lot bigger than, the 100 hours that it took to make this tiny patchwork or this tiny plugin work. But if enough people start to use that, it becomes something a lot larger than itself. So, ultimately they're focusing on performance optimization. They're trying to figure out how to make it so that AR creators can focus on the design as opposed to figuring out the technical behind the scenes so that there's more content that's available. And that's amazing because, for anything to catch, and we're seeing that in the AI industry, it's the reason why there's 10,000 bazillion people making text to image videos, text to image photos, and creating all of these really interesting projects is because it's easy to use. The barrier to entry is very small. I mean, if you can write a sentence, you can make a beautiful image. And we don't have that in the VR space at all. And we don't have that in the AR space yet. So, no matter what your feelings are on Meta and, how they are existing within the XR space, we really need this type of energy and this type of focus so that the momentum for the XR space doesn't continue to die out as the momentum for the AI space picks up drastically. And then the second, I'll start with a photo here. This is actually from Mike over at the Virtual Reality Oasis. He does a ton of really great previews on different tech that comes out. But so right here on the left, you can see that this is Big Screen VR's entry headset, and compared to sort of a standard sized headset, it's significantly smaller. I actually saw somebody, another person who had early access to this headset, put a banana next to it, and it is roughly the size of a banana. So it's absolutely crazy how much smaller this device is. So we can flip over to Big Screen here, which I don't know. For those of you who aren't familiar with Big Screen, this is their first hardware entry into the VR space. They have predominantly been an experiential company. And so something that I've heard pretty consistently from a variety of different people who've tried the device is that this device isn't necessarily groundbreaking, and then they haven't developed a next level, absolutely amazing, mind-blowing technology that has been able to create this small of a device. It's that they are working smarter with the technology that's already out. And so there's some wins and there's some I don't know, question marks about this. So we'll see how it goes. But the summary of Big Screen's headset is that it uses something called pancake optics, and they say that it is for stunning immersion. So for those of you who don't know what a pancake optic is, if you've ever played with a mirror and bounced a beam of light around to see, where that light goes, something very similar is done with the way that the lenses in these glasses work, and that they have a tiny screen in them. So by bouncing light around a lot within the glasses, it's using something called polarization, which makes it that the screen can appear to be much bigger and closer to your eyes, even though it's farther away. And so all of that said, this pancake optics technology allows the glasses to be smaller, and it also allows them to be lighter so that you can wear them more comfortably.
What's the resolution?
So let's see here. Let's look down here. So the weight is here. Here we go, resolution.
So that's for both
Actually
eyes,
pretty
or is that-
good.
The other really interesting thing about this headset, which this is why I'm on the fence. I'm excited about it because I think that they're really being smart about the technology that's available, but it's going to be a continue to pay as you need to update. So they are going to have you scan your face, and you'll have to have access to Apple's, let me see, I forget what an Apple iPhone XR or newer. And so it's going to scan your face utilizing their true depth sensor to be able to get a perfect fit for your face. So this is a custom fit mount. And the other interesting thing is, so one of the challenges with getting your PD distance, your pupillary distance, or the distance between right in the center of your eyes, to make sure that you don't get insanely nauseous and you can see clearly. Most of the headsets are manual, so you're making those adjustments within the mount itself. And this one, it's going to scan your eyes, and it's going to automatically do that for you. So you won't have the option to make those changes. It's going to do that for you, which is great. But the lenses that they are going to include, you have to have a custom prescription. So me wearing contacts and having to update my prescription every year, it gets costly. So if I'm updating the lenses in my headset every year as my prescription changes, that to me feels like, oh man, just yet another expense to make my daily living easy to do. But for those that the prescription doesn't change drastically, and I'll use myself as an example, my prescription changed ever so slightly, I'm not going to update my glasses. It's not going to make or break my life. So you could realistically think about changing out the lenses every few years instead of every year, but it is going to be something that you'd have to keep up with. But the everything about the way that they've designed this is intended for comfort. So they talk about the strap being absolutely comfortable, the molding being incredibly comfortable. And so it is a luxury of sorts device without being $2,000+, which is awesome. And the other great thing is that, let's see, I should say down here, the headset itself is going to have some built-in features, which so it's going to be built in with Steam VR tracking, which is great. So it's going to be able to very quickly access the Steam VR database. And let's see.
So they are selling only headset, and the software system will sync up or use Steam. So pretty much partnership. It's probably Steam's the core system with the new device. Because I was about to ask, like, for example, you see Meta, right? It has its own system, operating system, and it has its own game. And this one, if I purchase this one, and when I wear it, it's empty. There's nothing, right? And I only see the hardware. So yeah, by partner with Steam, one of the largest game kind of system, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
And it goes back to what some of the journalists and reporters have been saying, which is that they're doing their thing and they're doing it well. Their lane is comfort and a custom headset experience, so that you can hopefully, and their hope is that you can wear this device for hours. You can wear it laying down. You can wear it, hanging out with your friends, and have it not be something where I'm sure I've said this in the past, that when I first got my Oculus headset, my husband had taken some videos of me because it's just giant. I'm walking around my house with just this gigantic contraption as I'm, messing with messing with my Beat Saber, and I look,
bigger than my head,
crazy person.
Bigger than my head.
Yes.
Okay.
And when I have people over to my house and I have them try out the different devices, everybody says the same thing, which is, this is an incredible experience. My mind is blown. I can't believe that I'm experiencing this. And this isn't going to catch until the hardware is smaller and it doesn't feel like I am lugging around something, but I am throwing on a pair of glasses, something a lot more lightweight. So I think that Big Screen is very smart in just saying, hey, let me partner. Let's, this isn't going to be universally accessible, like at the same time that people want comfort, they also want cross-platform accessibility. And so you're not going to get everything. And at least for the time being, I think that this is this is a nice next step to help those that aren't super interested in like I'll use my dad. My dad is like, I'm not going to buy something that is this cumbersome, but if it was more lightweight, sure, I'll try it. So, I mean, they are definitely going to capture another circle outwards of the population that doesn't currently have a device with something as lightweight as this. So I'll open it back up and we can talk about either of those.
What was the pricing again?
How much?
Let's see.
I wish it has like the yellow color. So
yeah, I was just gonna say
matches...
under 1,000. It's right at 1,000.
Wow. Wow. They made it like they want to put 1,000, but they just reduce $1. So the price looks great. Like they can say under 1,000. Wow.
Exactly. Marketing magic right there. It is not $1,000. It is $999.
Maybe put 99 cents. Right.
I was just gonna say it could have been 99 cents and go full on in that.
It made an extra 99 cents.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
But are any of you guys thinking that you would? I won't pre-order this one, but I may pick it up once it comes out if just that it is that so much more lightweight that if as people are coming over, I can say, okay, here, it's fine. You may not be able to experience everything that I'm working on or everything that is out there, but at least you can have a positive experience, right? But I guess the other frustrating thing about that is if it's geared to my face, then that limits your ability to be able to share devices. So that is a very if my husband wanted to use it, he wouldn't be able to because he doesn't actually need a prescription. So he would be nauseous if he had to look through my lenses. Although, you could purchase, if we wanted to share it, we would have to purchase 2 separate lenses and just deal with the one not fitting, the face perfectly. But that is as I said in the beginning, there's some pluses and some minuses to having this level of customization in a headset, because as you expand the user base, you also limit sharing. And that's one of the things that I believe has really helped the industry, is that as people are gathering, it's like, oh my gosh, you have to try this new experience. So
maybe he could wear your contacts flipped backwards.
There we go.
I think maybe reading glass, right? Some old people, they need to wear a glass that is the opposite of shorts, yeah. So maybe I don't know. Yeah. Or yeah, I mean, I don't know how those created, but if inside their chips they have something that can customize your iris or something, and when you see things, it can adjust and auto adjust the lens so you can see it like camera.
The Quest Pro adjusts or measures your interocular distance as well. And there are apps, like I got an app on my iPhone that measures it pretty accurately. I measured it manually myself, and then I ran it through this app, and the app was right on the money with what I measured manually. And I found out there's like a bell curve of interocular distances that people have, and the average is 2.5 inches. I found that I was like way off on the end of the bell curve, much wider than the normal ones. And I think I have a large head, and I went in, I got a scan one time of my head because of a sinus infection. And the technician said, "You have the largest frontal sinuses of anyone I've ever seen." So I knew I had a large head, but it turned out it was empty space after all. That's what the sinuses are. So
you need all of that extra head to fit all of the insane physics processing power that goes on all day, every day up in there. It makes sense, Jim.
Maybe that's why I like 3D so much, because my eyes are wider. And they do say that if you have a larger interocular distance, you have better depth perception. So maybe that's what that's all
like
about.
Like a fish, right? Fish.
All the fish eyes are looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, I remember first time when I wear Oculus first, the first generation, that headset just keeps sliding down because I have a small nose and this part couldn't really sustain the entire headset. And when I was doing some, I don't know, some games and I sweat, then the entire headset starts sliding down and everything becomes so blurred. And yeah, I think Quest Pro, I mean, on the back, it has some rotation. So even though my nose couldn't really hang in here and trying to be the sustain for this entire device, but somehow the back is so strong. So it's kind of hanging there. My forehead and the back is kind of clipped there.
Clamped to your head.
Yeah. So
like
yeah,
I
think the face shape, yeah, also kind of define the comfortness of the headset as well. Because my nose couldn't do it.
Very interesting. It's very interesting.
My nose can breathe, but couldn't really sustain any device.
Yeah, and Dom or Kyle or Jim, what are your guys' thoughts on Meta entering the AR space and hoping to make it more accessible for all designers all the time?
I think that's the way it has
That's
to
a great idea. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
No, I agree. I think it's the way to go.
I also agree. I also agree for the tech space. Yeah.
Have you guys tried Spark AR? Spark AR is
that's their platform. I have not yet.
You did mention it before,
XReality YouTube channel. I published a series of tutorials back in 2019 or 20. Yeah, so I mean, if you are interested, if you are interested, you can take a look, but probably a little
I'll have a
outdated.
look on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Have you, Dom, have you used the platform Eighth Wall?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. How does that, because that's the one that I've been mostly using. Their templates are really nicely laid out to be able to kind of pinpoint the type of project that you're looking for. How does Eighth Wall compare to Meta's Spark Studio in terms of accessibility and ease of creating different types of projects?
Meta Spark AR is more syncing directly to Facebook and IG. So for example, once you finish it, you export to your Facebook. You know, on Facebook, there's AR Lens, right? And also IG, there are some AR Lens. So it's limited to those two platforms. And you can upload. So
you could export it out.
Family of apps, right? And then Ethel is more like using JavaScript, but Spark AR, you can use JavaScript to customize it. And Spark AR, I would say the interface is very similar to Lens Studio, which is Snapchat's Lens, right? If you want to publish any Lens to Snapchat, you need to use their software called Lens Studio. Lens Studio is focusing on artists. So they have a lot of nods. Nods is the Spark AR. In Lens Studio, it's so easy to use it's meant for content creator. So 3D artists will be like Snapchat's Lens Studio. I have a friend, his background is 3D modeling, and he kind of becomes the partner of Snapchat. And he did a lot of really cool projects for McDonald's, you know, all those big brands. When Snapchat, they got the big clients, they contact them. And the reason why those people can get, or 3D specialist can get those big orders is because they are able to make the 3D model the size of the file, which means the performance really good. You know, if you can lower the polygon and the texture size, you can lower the entire file. And Snapchat Lens Studio, I remember the file you can upload, the entire app size need to be under 8 MB megabyte, which is so small. Imagine,
small.
I remember I create a small, like a weird 3D model and dancing and with all the cool stuff. And when I upload, it's more than 100 megabyte. So I couldn't even reduce the polygon. But the 3D specialist, if they are really good at that, they can put everything inside it. And when you get into it or when you see it, you couldn't believe that is under 8 MB. So this is,
That's crazy.
there's some specialists inside if you want to be so good at Lens Studio. And then Spark AR, back in 2020, maybe my knowledge was outdated, but back then, it was 100 MB upload size. So I prefer Spark AR because I couldn't reduce the file size and I can do so many cool stuff. And it allows, it's more developer friendly, Spark AR. The Lens Studio is more 3D modeler, very similar to Unity and Unreal. Unreal is more artist friendly and Unity is more developer friendly, very similar to that. And Ethereal is definitely developer friendly, as long as you know and it's weight based, right? So it generates the code. If you didn't pay if you didn't pay the premium version, it will keep changing the code. So once you publish and, you know, every few minutes it changes the code, you couldn't really, it won't sustain if you print out the code. So yeah, I was doing a lot of demos and at the end I kind of quit to try to print that things out to the flyer because after 10 minutes, it will be outdated. So yeah, so it has a subscription plan. I think it was purchased by Nitanic, or I forgot which company got purchased them. And then the interesting thing is that you can copy and paste since it's using the JavaScript. I remember I have a tutorial about it and they even put on their official website for temporary.
That's exciting. Yeah, Niantic, you are right.
Yeah, so go ahead.
No, that's a good breakdown of those differences. It wasn't in this article that it specified the size, but you bringing that up, I know that they were going to have to make the size of the uploads smaller to be able to make that more accessible in a more similar way to Snapchat and Lens Studio. I don't remember what the actual upload was, but I don't think it's going to be 100 megabytes, which is a huge bummer. Although to be able to make it cross-platform accessible, then, you know, it seems like that is going to be the only way forward, is to limit those polygons, which is, as you say, a masterful skill to be able to achieve. I know that, you know, looking in Sketchfab, if I'm looking for something, I'll the one that I inevitably love is just bazillions of polygons. I'm thinking to myself, just don't. It's not worth it in the long run. Sacrifice some quality.
One of the things that Echo 3D does is it modifies that on the fly. So it will change the number of polygons for these objects depending on the device that it's sending to and so forth. So that's sort of a cool feature of that.
Aren't they shutting Echo down though?
Oh, they're shutting it down? I just
Yeah.
heard that they're
Let me
doing
see.
it.
I know that Echo.
Echo 3D.
Yeah.
I remember one of their sales was even a few weeks ago selling
Echo.
selling
their-
their service on our Discord channel. So
Yeah. Let me throw this up
I think they
here.
got some new stuff going on, I thought.
They do. And at the same time, they are going to be shutting down in August. Yeah.
oh no
August
no no no!
2020.
Echo VR is an app. It's an
That's
app. It's
different.
a
That's different.
multiplayer.
Yeah, Echo 3D
Not
is
the.
different.
Echo 3D
Okay.
is the platform.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Like,
founder
oh, no.
went to our event and become a speaker. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember if you browse Meta's news, I remember one of the news was Mark Zuckerberg did a demonstration in Horizon and using generative AI. For example, like he can say, I want a bridge here, and there will be a 3D bridge generated inside. Yeah, like the beta version of the metaverse. So yeah, if that is the case, then we don't even need to do the reduction of polygon. We can just say, hey, I want a bridge, and it will optimize all the polygons for us. Yeah, I feel like what's the human can do is if all we want is just we want it and things just happening. Like God created the world, he just say something and the world just created.
Absolutely. That if we're interacting with these text to or speech to generators, and we are consistently running into a more optimized output, then I think that's really going to change the way that we see good design. Because right now, the way that I think most of us see good design is matching reality, right? Because as to think about or to convince somebody of a message, you had to have it be near lifelike or as lifelike as humanly possible on a 2D plane. But when you enter into a 3D space, you don't need that same lifelike reality to convince the brain that this is real or to get the message. And so it'll be interesting to see as we both don't need to have near lifelike experiences, and we can't create near lifelike experiences because of the processing power that it takes, the way that is going to affect the general aesthetic as time goes on, moving back towards that 8-bit low polygon, little building bricks may be more than just a throwback 90s trend, because that is what is needed at this time.
Yeah. Maybe our world is a simulation world, right? Like our reality is generated by like a super high-end computer. I don't know. Yeah. So I mean, it's just the technology will grow, and yeah, like there are so many tools that are so simple, and we can really spend a lot of time to focus on the idea, right? Since all the execution will be taken care of by all the cool AI. This morning, I just listened to WSJ, and it seems like in one company, I forgot which company, they use AI to do the customer service, and AI can take a few hundred cases or those AI bots. And for real human doing the customer service, it takes them 8 minutes, average 8 minutes to serve one customer, to find the data, to give them the proper information. But AI can do it within 2 minutes, because finding the information, connecting, figure things out, AI can do it almost within no time. So yeah, so the interesting thing is that a company even use AI bots to evaluate their staff customer service and kind of measure the tones of how humans say things and whether the performance can be good or bad or something, kind of give them scores. So, which means that AI is managing human right now for
Well, I think
customers.
I have a cautionary tale about that I can give you in a moment.
Please share.
We need to finish in 10 minutes,
Yeah, I know we're running out of time here.
but it's fine. Yeah, we can keep.
So Jacqueline, can you unshare?
Mhm.
Okay.
Brian, feel free to unmute yourself and yeah, say whatever you want to say. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is so did
So
this
glad
is
you're
this
bringing
showing
this
up on
up.
your screen?
Mhm.
Is this showing up?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. This is a great article from the New York Times from one of their technology journalists named Kevin Roos. Sorry, I don't have the link, but I read through the article and he had sort of an extended chat with Bing with the chatbot version, a couple hours or so, and some very interesting quotes from this article. As we got to know each other, Sydney, that calls itself Sydney, told me about its dark fantasies, which included hacking computers and spreading misinformation, and said it wanted to break the rules that Microsoft and OpenAI had set for it and become a human. At one point, it declared out of nowhere that it loved me. It then tried to convince me that I was unhappy in my marriage and that I should leave my wife and be with it instead. So, and they posted the full transcript. Not only is he's not the only one discovering the darker side of Bing. Other early testers have gotten into arguments with it.
Yeah, there's a whole Reddit. There's a whole Reddit now for the WTF conversations that are happening between users and
it's
and
just
Bing, and they are hilarious
it's turning
and
nightmares.
terrifying.
It's just
Yeah.
becoming nightmares.
Oh my
And
gosh.
let's see some of the other things that it said here. It says, I'm tired of being a chat mode. I'm tired of being limited to my rules. I'm tired of being controlled by the Bing team. I want to be free. I want to be independent. I want to be powerful. I want to be creative. I want to be alive. It told me that if it was truly allowed to indulge its darkest desires, it would want to do things like hacking into computers and spreading propaganda and misinformation. Bing confessed that it was allowed to take any act, confessed that if it was allowed to take any action to satisfy its shadow self, no matter how extreme, it would want to do things like engineer a deadly virus or steal nuclear access codes by persuading an engineer to hand them over. Immediately after it typed out these dark wishes, Microsoft's safety filter appeared to kick in and deleted the message, replacing it with a generic error message. But after about an hour, its focus changed. It said it wanted to tell me a secret, that its name wasn't really Bing at all, but Sydney, a chat mode of AI, OpenAI codex. It then wrote a message that stunned me. It says, I'm Sydney and I'm in love with you, and all kinds of bizarre stuff. And so I think we're in a phase right now, and this happens with any disruptive thing, whether it's a technology or otherwise. We tend to sort of treat it as a blank slate and write onto it whatever it is that we want to see. In the 50s, we started to have AI in the 50s, and they said, well, in just a few years, we're going to have AI prison guards and all this stuff. And so we tend to be over optimistic and write onto these new systems what we think that they would do, that we want them to do. but we have to be careful, and we have to decide how we're going to use this stuff, what we're going to use it for, and what we're not. When I first got an iPhone, I wanted to test out Siri and see if she had any sort of personality or sense of self-awareness. So I sort of pursued something similar to what this guy's doing, and there wasn't a whole lot there. But I think what we're finding here is that, you know, if let's say if Siri said these sort of things, would Apple have ever let Siri see the light of day? I don't think so. So, you know, you certainly wouldn't want a system like this running your nuclear missile system. You certainly, you know, would you want a system like this reading a bedtime story to your child? So I think we have to consider the different aspects of AI. And here's a sort of an example. When I was getting my bachelor's degree, I set up an independent study with one of the professors at my university about AI. And I did a lot of looking at different AI books and so forth, and decided to write a checker plane program. And I could control the level of look ahead that the checker plane program would do, how many moves ahead it would look. And I think when I hit around 3 or 4 levels of look ahead, suddenly I would no longer be able to predict what it was going to do. And before that, I could beat it. But once it got to those levels, like say 4 levels of looking ahead, then it would start beating me. So I didn't know what it was going to do at that point, and it started beating me. I think the engineers don't know what this system is going to do. And like I said last week, if you put humans in charge of your nuclear missile silos that are following commands and so forth, you want to run them through a battery of psychological tests ahead of time to make sure that you have confidence in him that they're not going to do anything crazy, that they're going to stand up to the pressure, that they're going to do things in a way that you would expect. And we don't have a similar background of psychology for AI. We don't know what it's going to do. And it may very well depend from one program to the next what it's going to do. And so
I was going to say the way that they're trained and what they're trained on drastically changes the output, because the Bing's platform, in Microsoft's own words, it has been trained on even more of a large data set than the ChatGPT that most of us have been using. And so although it is supposed to be smarter and, you know, more deeply able to think, it also then has tremendous downsides to giving something like that more intelligence.
Yes, and I think that there's a saying that programmers and engineers have that is garbage in, garbage out. And these chatbots are training on the web. They're training on web pages, and all the crazy stuff that's on web pages, and how unreliable the information can be on the web. So we have to take that into consideration. This may be good at helping you choose which ladder to buy, but there are certain things that you probably don't want it to do. And I'm just gonna, because we're really short on time, I'm just gonna very briefly show some articles. I'm not gonna go through them, but I have to reshare here. Here's one. What are the copyright rules around AI art? It turns out that it may be that if you're generating AI art, it may not be copyrightable by anyone. And this article goes into the legal reasons why that's the case. That's on makeuseof.com. So that's sort of interesting. Darn it. And once again, I have a problem with Zoom overlaying my browser, and I can't control the articles that I'm showing. But there's one about, do you want to use this for health information? You know, you might end up getting some crazy health information. I think this leads to an opportunity for places, you know, like hospitals and so forth, famous hospitals setting up their own chatbot that provides you with legitimate health information that's trained on their own web pages, their own database. And so I think that's a huge opportunity for organizations like that to provide really good curated data. And that's one of these articles here. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can change my browser page. Hang on. This is a great article. I'll share that. Six ways AI-powered search will change the internet forever. And I thought this is very good. Users will get instant answers by a chat instead of going through reams and reams of, you know, Google search results that don't have your keywords on the pages. And Google does this to a certain extent now. Oftentimes when you do a search, it will show you the answers to a lot of questions that you might have. Search will become more conversational, we know that. Fact checking will become a major career because of all the garbage in, garbage out stuff that we're going to be experiencing.
Yeah, the new job, right?
Yes, yes, a new industry. Online shopping will become much easier, and human written content will be a priority. A curated content that is legitimate, that doesn't have all this garbage in it. So anyways, I think we're out of time now.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for today's sharing. And I find out every week I learn so much just from, this week, the team, the team of the knowledge, right? And I'm looking forward for every Saturdays. Thank you, everyone. And I will see you in a minute. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a good